Mr. Mnguni participated in one of the committees on peacekeeping in Africa and the world. And South Africa has put various proposals and statements to that particular committee which enriched the discussions. And given that South Africa is playing a critical role in peacekeeping mission in Africa, how important is it, Mr. Mnguni, that we had this discussion and proposals that essentially were welcomed during the discussions in that IPU committee?
Thank you very much and good morning. It's very, very important to have the role South Africa is playing on the peacekeeping missions because it helps overall to stabilize the world and the world order, to really bring hope to the peoples of the world who are in unstable areas. And South Africa has been playing her part. It's great to note that South Africa has had presence in the DRC, in the Sudan, South Sudan, and Sudan, and in all those peacekeeping missions with over 1,400 troops deployed in those areas. So the peacekeeping mission is so important in that it stabilizes the order in those areas, and then the socio-political and economic systems can then shape in a calm and quiet order.
I mean, what are the issues that South Africa really proposed and put forward during the discussion? And what is the role of Parliament in ensuring that it plays a critical role in ensuring a peaceful world, both in South Africa, in Africa, and all over the world?
Yeah, the most important aspect, though, with respect to peacekeeping missions, is also the aspect about the discipline against, especially by the forces deployed, those troops, so that there are no atrocities they commit and abuses and gender-related offenses and violence. So as South Africa, we were very happy to make the impact that we are looking into that, because on the reports to the UN General Assembly in 2012 to 2015, it's been featuring prominently that there are abuses by the deployed troops of various countries to the local residents and the peoples of those places where the troops are deployed. So we note that the role of our Parliament first has been to conduct oversight visits to where troops are deployed, or alternatively to get the quarterly reports and the annual reports from the Department of Defense and Military Veterans, or alternatively also to ask questions through the parliamentary plenaries to the minister and to the president. And also significantly, what we think the international community also received well from us was the submission that we are sending over the military courts, which military courts have a judge, a prosecutor, a lawyer, a translator, just like a typical court, to make sure that for any offenses committed, then the military personnel are tried on the spot, in foreign grounds, on the battlefields, if you like. That is that. But also we've been formulating a bill, which is before Parliament now, called the Military Discipline Bill, that will ensure that as Parliament, through that bill, once enacted, we can ensure that there is discipline in the army, and therefore the military peacekeeping missions serve their purpose and not anything else.
And how do we ensure that, for instance, you are reflecting on South Africa formulating a bill that will be able to regulate the conduct of foreign troops, and actually to ensure that their deployment serves the agenda of South Africa, which advances peace all over the world and security of the people of the world? But how do we ensure that such kind of a bill, there is synergy? It speaks to other laws of sister parliament that sister parliament passes to ensure that we speak with one, because the whole purpose of the IPU assembly, where parliaments of the world are members and they meet from time to time to discuss issues and to work together cooperatively to advance uniform approach to resolving some of the critical challenges that the world faces is to ensure that parliaments work together and they speak with one voice to address those issues. So how do we ensure that such kind of laws, they speak to other laws that other parliaments are passing to ensure that they really make an impact on the agenda that we need to advance?
Absolutely, an important one, very, very profound. I think it talks to the core purpose of having an inter-parliamentary union. At present here, for instance, this whole week, throughout this session, we had about 173 countries of the world. And to put it simply, the Inter-Parliamentary Union, the IPU, is you can say, an oversight body over the United Nations, because it's a union of parliaments, while the United Nations is a union of the executive and the cabinets and so on. So the IPU has been trying to find its feet in making sure that there's coordination of the efforts and the roles of parliaments. When we made our submission as South Africa as to what we are doing insofar as the peacekeeping missions, it was well received in the Commission. All other countries, including SADC countries all around us, they really appreciated and said they're looking at copying our model and extracting some useful lessons from what we are doing. So it is very, very important that like the bill, like the military defense bill that we are formulating, once enacted, that we seek to influence the other parliaments of SADC, of Africa, and of the world to make sure that they have a similar piece of legislation. So there's a whole lot of cross-pollination of ideas basically taking place. And if we move in that direction, then we can be assured that there's going to be a better world order, especially insofar as the peace missions that we have.
Mr. Mnguni, you've been part of a 7-member strong delegation that the South African Parliament has sent here. And all of you have been involved in various committees. There's been advancement of various resolutions. Generally, one can say that Team South Africa has been punching above its weight, given the kind of debates that it has pushed, the statements that each member has given in various committees, as well as the resolutions that we've put forward, and many of them have been welcomed. What is your impression of the role of Team South Africa here in this assembly?
Oh, thank you for that question. I'm very, very excited to have been exchanging. You know, we woke up very early, and every morning at breakfast table, we were having briefings with our colleagues, with our support teams, the support officials, and taking stock of how far we have gone, what are the issues lined up for the day, and what is an approach. Team South Africa, the political component, the 7-member strong component, was able, one issue that impressed me strongly, to rise above the party political issues. You would hear Honorable Waters saying, no, but we have a position as the country. You would hear Honorable Mnguni of EFF saying, this is our country position, and checking notes with all of us. So Team South Africa was able to really punch above its weight, especially because of the cohesion of the delegation. People were prepared to put aside the party political scope and look into the country's interest, the country's mandate. And yes, indeed helped, because South Africa is very strategically located in SADC and in Africa. Until very recently, South Africa was chairing and leading the AU. So South Africa is very, very strategic on the continent, but also South Africa is part of BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And we've been having also bilaterals with our BRICS counterparts, and we're very, very happy with, we can be very, very proud that the 55 million strong South African population would feel that, we feel that we did our bit to really represent them and project South Africa quite well.
Yeah. Yes. And you know, every time Team South Africa or the South African Parliamentary Delegation participates, and it has been years that it has been participating, there's always lessons that one gets out of the deliberations here, and the participation and the direction that the IPU is generally taking. What are the lessons do you think have been for you came out of this 5-day assembly?
Yeah, Look, the assembly is still sitting. The plenary is sitting on the other side, voting for the president of the IPU. It was good to see the SADC bloc session sitting, and the African bloc also sitting. And basically, I think that it's foregone conclusion that the Mexican is gonna take over the IPU presidency. It was good to be part of the platform that will be ushering in such a presidency. That's one part of it. But lessons generally from very minute detail to big questions about an approach. There have been lots of inspirations about how other parliaments are doing it. But they seem to be quite keen to be learning from us more often than not. I think following from our constitution that is hailed by the world as one of the best models of unifying a population. So they've been keen to learn from us, but we've been learning from them as well. Also, the interesting one also is diversity of language. There's lots of languages spoken here, but with translation, of course. But also back home, we've got about 11 languages, official languages. So we are used to the language dynamism with lots of languages spoken. But yeah, generally, it's been a good exposure, a good experience, but also South Africa's flag continue to be held high. Yes.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Mnguni, for the discussion. We'll obviously be talking to some of the members of the Team South Africa to hear their views and their impression of the Assembly and what are the key issues that they believe were very key in terms of advancing them for adoption by this important body of world parliaments. And thank you very much.
You're most welcome, sir. Thank you so much.